The phone rang and Murphy perked up his ears. "Is $800 too much?" said the voice. A young kid. "No," I said. "But where did you get him?" "Someone sold him to me." My heart stopped. "Who?" When I heard the answer. "My name is Parker Thornton. I'm 48 years old. I've been a volunteer at the same animal shelter for 22 years." And that answer destroyed everything. But let me back up. Let me tell you how I got to that phone call. How a routine Saturday morning turned into the worst discovery of my life. And how one teenager who talked too much exposed a crime that had been happening right under my nose for 8 months. This is the story of 64 rescue dogs, a man everyone trusted, and the underground network that almost got away with it. I started volunteering at Second Chance Animal Rescue when I was 26 years old, fresh out of college, working as an accountant at a firm in Austin, looking for something that mattered. I walked into that shelter on a Saturday morning in 2002 and never left. Well, not literally, but you know what I mean. For 22 years, every weekend, every holiday I could spare, I was there. Walking dogs, cleaning kennels, fostering animals that needed extra care, fundraising, event planning, whatever they needed. I've fostered over 400 animals in those 22 years. Dogs, cats, even a few rabbits. My apartment became a revolving door of scared, sick, abandoned creatures who just needed someone to care. And I loved it. Every minute. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts, maybe. Because that's when it mattered most. Second Chance isn't a big operation. We're not one of those massive shelters with corporate funding and celebrity endorsements. We're small. Community-based. About 30 kennels, maybe 50 animals at any given time. We rely on volunteers and donations. The staff is tiny. Just 3 people. A director, a veterinary assistant, and a coordinator who handles adoptions and volunteer scheduling. That coordinator, for the past 8 years, was a guy named Dex Morales. Dex joined Second Chance in 2016. He was 36 at the time, friendly, enthusiastic. Said he'd always loved animals, wanted to give back to the community. He had a background in event planning, he said, so he knew how to organize. Everyone liked Dex. He was good at his job. Adoption events ran smoothly. Volunteers felt appreciated. He remembered everyone's names, asked about their families, brought donuts on Saturday mornings. I liked him too. We weren't close friends, but we were friendly. The kind of relationship where you chat about the weather, share a joke, coordinate schedules. In 2021, when our previous coordinator retired, Dex was promoted. It was a natural fit. He knew the operations inside and out. The board voted unanimously. Looking back now, I wonder if that's when it started, or if it had been happening all along, quietly, and the promotion just gave him more access. More control. I'll never know for sure. What I do know is that by March 2024, Dex Morales had turned Second Chance Animal Rescue into his personal marketplace, and none of us had any idea. Murphy came to us in late February 2024. He was a 10-year-old beagle, surrendered by his owner who was moving into assisted living. The owner cried when she dropped him off. Said Murphy had been his late husband's dog, but she couldn't take him with his. Murphy was a sweetheart. Calm, gentle, great with other dogs. A little gray around the muzzle, a little slower on walks, but healthy. The kind of senior dog that makes an excellent companion for the right person. Senior dogs are harder to adopt out. People want puppies, or young dogs with energy. They don't want to invest in an animal that might only have a few years left. But I've always had a soft spot for the seniors. They've lived full lives. They deserve to finish them in comfort and love. So I offered to foster Murphy while we looked for his forever home, brought him to my apartment, set up a cozy bed in the corner of my living room, introduced him to my current foster cat, a tabby named Gizmo, who tolerated Murphy with dignified indifference. For 3 weeks, Murphy was my shadow. He followed me from room to room, slept at the foot of my bed, waited patiently by the door when I came home from work. He didn't ask for much. Just companionship. Just someone to be there. I took photos of him, videos, posted them on our shelter's Facebook page and Instagram. Murphy is looking for his retirement home. Low-key, loves naps, excellent cuddler. Apply today. The applications came in slowly. A couple of people visited, but no one committed. Too old, they said. Or they wanted a dog who could go on long hikes. Or they just weren't sure. By mid-March, Murphy had been with me almost a month. I wasn't in a hurry. He was happy, healthy, settled. The right person would come along eventually. Then on Saturday, March 16th, we had an adoption event at a local pet store. I brought Murphy. He sat quietly in his little setup, wearing a bandana that said, "Adopt me," greeting people with his tail wagging gently. Dex was there, running the event. He came over around noon. "How's Murphy doing?" he asked, scratching behind Murphy's ears. "Great," I said. Still waiting for the right match. Dex nodded. "He's a good boy. Someone's going to snatch him up soon, I'm sure." At the end of the day, as we were packing up, Dex approached me again. "Hey Parker, good news. I got a call earlier from a couple who saw Murphy's profile online. They're coming by the shelter tomorrow morning to meet him. Sounds promising. Retirees, no other pets, lots of experience with senior dogs." My heart lifted. "That's perfect for Murphy." "Yeah, I thought so too. Why don't you bring him by tomorrow around 10? I'll handle the paperwork, and if it's a good fit, we can finalize the adoption." "Absolutely. Thank you, Dex." Sunday morning, I brought Murphy to the shelter. Dex was already there, setting up. He took Murphy's leash from me with a smile. "I've got this. The couple should be here any minute. You've done amazing with him, Parker. He's lucky to have had you." "Thanks. Let me know how it goes." Of course, I left feeling good, hopeful. Murphy was going to find his home. 2 weeks passed. I didn't hear anything about Murphy. I assumed the adoption had gone through, that he was settling into his new life with the retired couple. I thought about him sometimes. Wondered if he was happy, hoped he was. On Saturday, March 30th, I was back at the shelter for my regular volunteer shift. I ran into Dex in the hallway. "Hey, Dex. How's Murphy doing? Did the adoption work out?" He looked at me blankly for a second. Then his face brightened. "Oh, Murphy. Yes, perfect match. They absolutely loved him. Took him home that day." "That's great. Do you have their contact information? I'd love to send them some of his favorite treats, just as a little welcome gift." Dex hesitated. I'd have to check the files. Our system's been glitchy lately. I'll get back to you." "No problem. Thanks." He walked away quickly. I thought it was odd. Dex was usually so on top of things. But I didn't dwell on it. Systems have glitches. Life happens. The next day, Sunday, March 31st, I was at home scrolling through Craigslist. I don't know why. Boredom, maybe. I sometimes look at the pet section just to see what's out there, to check if any animals need rescuing. That's when I saw him. The photo was unmistakable. Murphy. My Murphy. Sitting in what looked like a garage or basement, concrete floor, looking at the camera with those gentle brown eyes. The listing read, $800. Purebred beagle, 10 years old. Great with kids. House-trained, loves to cuddle. Serious inquiries only. I stared at the screen. My stomach dropped. Purebred. Murphy wasn't purebred. He was a beagle mix at best. And $800. That was outrageous for a senior dog. But more than that, why was Murphy on Craigslist? Dex said he'd been adopted 2 weeks ago by a retired couple. A perfect match. So why was he being sold online? I screenshot the listing. Checked the date it was posted. March 29th. Yesterday. My hands were shaking. I didn't understand. This didn't make sense. Maybe the couple had changed their minds. Maybe they were trying to rehome him quickly. But why wouldn't they contact the shelter? I called the number in the listing. It rang 4 times. Then a young voice answered. Hello? Hi, I'm calling about the beagle you have listed on Craigslist. Is he still available? Yeah, he's available. You interested? Maybe. Can I ask where you got him? Someone sold him to me. My heart stopped. Who? There was a pause. The kid, because he sounded like a kid, said, just a guy. Why? I'm just curious. I want to make sure he's been taken care of. Can you tell me more? Another pause. Look, I got him from a guy who works at an animal shelter. Said he could get me dogs cheap. I could resell them for profit. That's all I know. My blood ran cold. Which animal shelter? I don't know, man. He didn't say. Are you going to buy the dog or not? I forced my voice to stay calm. Can I come see him today? Where are you located? I'm in South Austin. We can meet at the gas station on Slaughter and Manchaca. Noon. I'll be there. I hung up and sat there, staring at my phone. My mind was racing. A guy who works at an animal shelter sold Murphy for profit. That meant number. It couldn't be. But what other explanation was there? I called my friend Kimiko. He's a police officer with the Austin PD. Someone I'd met years ago through a community event. We'd stayed in touch. He was one of the few people I knew who would take this seriously. He answered on the second ring. Parker? Hey, what's up? Kimiko, I need your help. Off duty if you can. Something's happened and I don't know what to do. Talk to me. I explained everything. Murphy, the adoption, the Craigslist ad, the phone call. When I finished, Kimiko was silent for a moment. Then she said, I'm coming with you to that meeting. Don't go alone. If this is what it sounds like, you need a witness. And if things go sideways, you need backup. Thank you. Give me the address. I'll meet you there at 11:45. We'll figure this out. Kimiko and I met in the gas station parking lot at 11:45. He was in plain clothes, no uniform, but she had that cop awareness about his. Eyes always scanning, posture ready. You okay? She asked. No, I said honestly. I don't know what's happening, but I have a really bad feeling. Let's find out. If this kid's telling the truth about someone at the shelter, we need to know who and how long it's been going on. At noon, a beat-up Honda Civic pulled into the lot. A teenage kid got out, maybe 17. Skinny, nervous energy. He looked around, spotted me standing by my car. He walked over. You the one who called about the beagle? Yeah, is he here? He's in the car. You want to see him first? Please. He opened the back door of the Civic. Murphy was sitting on a towel, no crate, no harness. When he saw me, his tail started wagging. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scoop him up and leave, but I held it together. He's beautiful, I said. Can I ask you a few questions first? The kid shrugged. Sure. Kimiko stepped forward. He didn't introduce herself as a cop, but his presence was enough to make the kid tense up. You said you got him from someone at an animal shelter, Kimiko said. How does that work? The kid shifted. I don't know. It's just this guy I know. He calls me when he has dogs available. I buy them cheap, resell them for more. It's just business. How much did you pay for this one? I asked. $200. $200. And he was trying to sell Murphy for $800. $600 profit. How many dogs has this guy sold you? Kimiko asked. The kid looked uncomfortable. I don't know. A few like 3, or a few like 10? He glanced at Murphy, then back at us. Maybe 8 this year? I didn't keep count. 8 dogs this year. We were barely into April. That was 2 dogs a month. What's his name? I asked. The guy from the shelter. I don't know. He just told me to call him D double quote. D Dex. My stomach turned. And he works at an animal shelter? Kimiko pressed. Yeah, I think so. He has access to the dogs. Said they're rescues that didn't get adopted, so he can sell them instead. Kimiko and I exchanged a look. What's your name? Kimiko asked the kid. Trevor. Trevor, I'm Officer Kimiko Sato with Austin PD. He showed him his badge. Trevor's face went pale. You're not in trouble yet, but I need you to tell me everything you know about this guy. Every detail, every transaction, understand? Trevor nodded quickly. Yeah, okay. Good. Start from the beginning. Trevor talked. He'd met Dex, though he didn't know his real name, 6 months ago. In October 2023, Trevor worked part-time at a pet supply store. Dex came in one day, struck up a conversation, asked if Trevor wanted to make some extra money. The pitch was simple. Dex had access to rescue dogs that weren't getting adopted. Instead of keeping them at the shelter indefinitely, draining resources, he could sell them to Trevor for cheap. Trevor could then resell them online, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and pocket the profit. Everybody wins. Trevor was 17, working minimum wage, saving for a car. The offer sounded good. Easy money. The first dog was a pit bull mix. Dex sold it to Trevor for $150. Trevor listed it for $600. Sold within a week. Made $450 profit. After that, Trevor was hooked. Over the next 6 months, Dex contacted him whenever he had a dog available. Sometimes 1 dog a month. Sometimes 2 or 3. Trevor never questioned it. He figured if Dex worked at a shelter, it was legal. He was just helping animals find homes faster, right? How many total? Kimiko asked. Trevor counted on his fingers. 8 since October. Maybe 9. I sold most of them, but 2 are still with me. Still with you? Yeah, at my mom's house. He doesn't know about it. I keep them in the garage. Kimiko's jaw tightened. We're going to need to see those dogs. They're fine, Trevor said quickly. I feed them, I take care of them. I'm not like abusing them or anything. That's not the point, I said, my voice shaking. Those dogs were supposed to be adopted into loving homes, not kept in a garage and sold like merchandise. Trevor looked at the ground. I didn't think it was a big deal. Kimiko took down Trevor's information, including his address. Then she turned to me. Parker, I need to make some calls. This is bigger than a kid reselling dogs. If Dex has been doing this for 6 months, we need to find out how many animals are involved and where they all ended up. I nodded. I couldn't speak. I was too angry, too heartbroken. Murphy was still sitting in Trevor's car, tail wagging, oblivious to the fact that he'd been stolen, sold, and nearly sold again. I opened the door and lifted him out. He licked my face. I'm taking him, I said. He's evidence, and he's not staying with Trevor another minute. Kimiko didn't argue. Agreed. Trevor, you're going to come down to the station with me. Voluntarily. We're going to go through every transaction, every text message, every detail. And then we're going to figure out how deep this goes. Trevor looked terrified, but he nodded. As Kimiko led him toward his car, I stood there holding Murphy, my heart breaking. 8 dogs. That was just Trevor. 1 kid, 1 buyer. How many others were there? Kimiko called me that evening. We've got a problem, she said. Well, a bigger problem. What do you mean? Trevor gave us everything. Texts, transaction records, photos. Dex has been selling him dogs since October, like he said. But here's the thing. Trevor's not the only buyer. My hands clenched. How many others? We found messages where Dex referenced other people. Got a buyer for the retriever? Pitbull going to my guy in Round Rock. That kind of thing. We're estimating at least 5 other buyers, maybe more. 5? Parker. If Dex has been doing this since October, and if each buyer was purchasing 1 or 2 dogs a month, he paused. We could be looking at 30, 40, maybe 50 dogs. I felt sick. There's more, Kimiko continued. We pulled Second Chance's adoption records for the past 8 months. Guess how many dogs are marked as adopted with incomplete or missing paperwork? I don't know. 47. 47 dogs. In 8 months. That's not normal, is it? Kimiko asked. No, I said. We're thorough about paperwork. We have to be. Adopters fill out applications. We do home checks. We follow up. Incomplete paperwork shouldn't happen, let alone 47 times. Exactly. And guess who processed all 47 of those adoptions? I closed my eyes. Dex. So what happens now? I'm bringing this to my sergeant tomorrow. We're opening a formal investigation. Animal cruelty unit will take lead. We'll need access to the shelter's records, security footage if you have it, financial records, everything. We have cameras, I said. In the kennels, at the front desk, in the parking lot. They save footage for 90 days. Good. We'll need all of it. Parker, I have to ask, do you trust anyone else at the shelter? The director, the vet assistant? I think so. They're good people. But I didn't think Dex would do something like this either, so I don't know anymore. Fair enough. Don't talk to anyone at the shelter yet. Not until we're ready to move. We don't want Dex getting spooked and destroying evidence. Okay. One more thing. Trevor mentioned Dex sometimes talked about special buyers, people who'd pay more for specific types of dogs. We're trying to figure out what that means. I thought about it. Purebred dogs sell for more, or dogs with specific temperaments, good with kids, good for protection, that kind of thing. Maybe. Or something worse. Worse how? Kimiko hesitated. Puppy mills, dog fighting, bait dogs. If Dex was selling to those kinds of operations? Parker, this could be a lot darker than we thought. I couldn't breathe. Puppy mills, dog fighting, our rescue dogs, the animals we'd saved from abuse and neglect, sold back into it. We're going to stop him, Kimiko said firmly. I promise you. We're going to find every dog, track every buyer, and bring Dex down. But I need you to stay calm and stay quiet. Can you do that? Yes. Good. I'll call you tomorrow. After we hung up, I sat on my couch with Murphy curled up beside me. I scratched his ears and cried. 47 dogs, maybe more. How had we not noticed? The investigation moved quickly. Within 2 days, the Austin Police Department's Animal Cruelty Unit had executed a search warrant on Second Chance Animal Rescue. Dex wasn't there that day. He'd called in sick. But the detectives didn't need him. The evidence was everywhere. I wasn't allowed at the shelter during the search. But Kimiko updated me afterward. We found his office computer, she said. Parker, it's bad. There's a spreadsheet. Dates, names of dogs, buyer names or initials, prices paid, prices charged. It's all documented. He kept records? Either he's incredibly stupid or incredibly arrogant. Probably both. The spreadsheet goes back 10 months. October 2023 to March 2024. How many dogs total? Kimiko's voice was grim. 64. 64 dogs. In 10 months. We've identified 6 buyers so far, including Trevor. 3 others are teenagers like him, small-time resellers who didn't know better. But 2 of the buyers. He paused. Parker, 2 of them are linked to puppy mills. Commercial breeders with violations on record. They bought 14 dogs from Dex. All female, all purebred or close enough. I thought I might throw up. For breeding, yes. We're working with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation to track down those facilities and recover the dogs if we can. If you can. Some of them may have already been sold or bred. We're doing everything we can. And the other buyers? Still investigating. But based on text messages we found, we think at least 3 dogs were sold to people connected to dog fighting rings. Dex refers to them as bait dogs in his notes. Bait dogs. Dogs used to train fighting dogs. Torn apart. I couldn't stop the tears. How could he do this? How could anyone do this? Money, Kimiko said simply. He was making about $600 to $1,200 per dog, depending on the breed and buyer. 64 dogs times an average of, let's say, $800. That's over $50,000 in 8 months. $50,000. That's what our rescue animals were worth to him. We're also looking at his personal finances, Kimiko continued. Turns out Dex has serious debts. Gambling mostly. Online sports betting. He owes about $22,000 to various creditors. The dog sales were probably how he was staying afloat. Is he under arrest? Not yet. We're building the case. We want to make sure we have everything before we bring him in. If we arrest him too early and he lawyers up, we might lose access to information about where the dogs are. So, what do I do? For now? Nothing. Act normal. If you see Dex at the shelter, don't confront him. Don't let on that you know anything. We're close, Parker. Just hold tight. A week after the search warrant, Kimiko called me with a plan. We need your help, she said. We want to run an undercover operation, and you're the key. What kind of operation? Dex is getting nervous. He knows we searched the shelter. He's been asking questions, trying to figure out if anyone reported him, but he hasn't run yet. We think he's waiting to see if it blows over. Okay, we want to set a trap. We want you to foster a high-value dog, something purebred, something that would sell for a lot of money. We'll microchip it with a GPS tracker. When Dex takes the bait and tries to sell it, we'll know exactly where it goes. And you'll catch him in the act. Exactly. But we need you to play along. Act normal. Act like you trust him. Can you do that? I thought about the 64 dogs, the puppy mills, the bait dogs. Yes, I said. What do you need me to do? The plan was simple. I would foster a golden retriever named Bailey, a beautiful, friendly 2-year-old purebred that had just arrived at the shelter. Bailey was exactly the kind of dog Dex would target. Young, healthy, valuable. Before I picked up Bailey, the police veterinarian implanted a GPS tracker alongside his regular microchip. It was small, undetectable, unless you were specifically looking for it, and it would transmit Bailey's location in real time. I brought Bailey home, posted photos on social media like I always did, and waited. 3 days later, Dex called me. Hey, Parker, how's Bailey doing? Great. He's a sweetheart. I think he'll get adopted fast. Actually, I've got good news. A family reached out this morning. They saw Bailey's photos online. They're coming by Saturday to meet him. Can you bring him to the shelter around noon? My heart pounded. Sure. That's great. Perfect. Thanks, Parker. You're the best. Saturday morning, I brought Bailey to the shelter. Kimiko and 2 other detectives were parked down the street in an unmarked van, monitoring the GPS signal. I handed Bailey's leash to Dex with a smile. He's such a good boy. The family's going to love him. I'm sure they will. Thanks, Parker. I'll handle it from here. I left, got in my car, drove around the corner, parked, called Kimiko. I'm out. Bailey's with him. Copy. We've got eyes on the signal. Stand by. For 2 hours, Bailey's GPS signal stayed at the shelter. Then, at 2:15 p.m., it started moving. Kimiko called me. He's on the move, heading south on I-35. We're following at a distance. Stay on this line. I waited. My hands were shaking. I couldn't stop thinking about Bailey alone with Dex, being taken God knows where. At 2:47 p.m., the signal stopped. He's at a storage facility, Kimiko said. You store it on William Cannon. We're moving in. I'll call you back. The next 20 minutes were the longest of my life. Finally, my phone rang. We got him, Kimiko said. And Parker, there are more dogs here. I drove to the storage facility. Police cars were everywhere, lights flashing. Kimiko met me at the entrance. How many? I asked. 14 dogs, all in crates. Dex was keeping them here before selling them. Some of them have been here for weeks. He led me to the unit. The door was open. Inside, rows of crates. I could see the dogs, some barking, some silent, all scared. Bailey was in the front crate. When he saw me, his tail wagged. Detectives were documenting everything, taking photos, cataloging the dogs, checking microchips. Dex was in handcuffs, sitting in the back of a police cruiser. I didn't look at him. I couldn't. Are they okay? I asked Kimiko. Most of them, yes. Dehydrated, hungry, stressed, but alive. We're transporting them to an emergency vet clinic for evaluation. After that, they'll go back to Second Chance or other shelters. What about the other dogs? The ones already sold? We're working on it. We've identified 19 dogs through microchip records and buyer information from Dex's computer. We're in the process of tracking them down. It's going to take time, but we'll get as many as we can. I knelt in front of Bailey's crate. He licked my hand through the bars. You did good, buddy, I whispered. You saved them. Dex Morales was formally arrested on April 13th, 2024, and charged with animal cruelty, 64 counts, theft, 64 counts, fraud, 64 counts, operating an illegal animal sales operation, racketeering, organizing an ongoing criminal enterprise. His bail was set at $100,000. He couldn't post it. He stayed in jail. The media picked up the story within days. Animal shelter coordinator arrested for selling rescue dogs. It was everywhere. Local news, national news, social media. The community was outraged. People who had adopted dogs from Second Chance over the past year started calling, panicking, wondering if their animals had been part of the scheme. We reassured them as best we could. If they had proper paperwork and their dog's microchip matched their records, they were fine. But the damage was done. Second Chance's reputation took a hit. Donations dropped. Volunteers quit, scared of being associated with the scandal. The board of directors issued a public apology. They promised reforms, mandatory 2-person approval for all adoptions, enhanced background checks for staff, digital record keeping with automatic backups, monthly audits. I stayed. I wasn't going to let Dex destroy 22 years of work. Neither were most of the longtime volunteers. We doubled down, worked harder, reminded the community why Second Chance mattered. Slowly, people came back. As for Dex, he initially pleaded not guilty. His lawyer claimed he was just rehoming dogs that wouldn't have been adopted otherwise, that he wasn't hurting anyone. The prosecution tore that argument apart. The evidence was overwhelming. The spreadsheet, the text messages, the testimony from Trevor and the other buyers, the 14 dogs found in the storage unit, the GPS tracking of Bailey. In June, facing a potential 20-year sentence if convicted on all counts, Dex changed his plea to guilty. The judge sentenced him to 7 years in state prison, with eligibility for parole after 4. He was also ordered to pay $59,000 in restitution, the estimated total profit he'd made from the dog sales, to be distributed among animal welfare organizations. Additionally, Dex received a lifetime ban from working with animals in any capacity. 7 years. It didn't feel like enough, but it was something. Over the next 6 months, the authorities worked to track down as many of the 64 dogs as possible. It wasn't easy. Some dogs had been sold multiple times, passing from buyer to buyer. Some had been moved out of state. Some had simply disappeared into the underground networks of puppy mills and dog fighting rings. But we found 19 of them. 19 dogs returned to safety, given second chances at real homes. Among them, a pit bull mix named Rocco, who'd been sold to a family in Round Rock. They'd treated him well, but when they learned he was stolen, they voluntarily returned him. Rocco was adopted 2 weeks later by a retired firefighter. 2 golden retrievers, Daisy and Max, recovered from a puppy mill in East Texas. Daisy had been bred once and was pregnant. We delivered his puppies safely, got his spayed, and found homes for all of them. Max was adopted by a family with 3 kids who adored him. A beagle named Scout, found through microchip records. He'd been sold to a college student who thought she was getting a great deal. He was devastated to learn the truth, but cooperated fully. Scout went to a home with 2 other beagles and lived like a king. 19 dogs out of 64. The other 45, we don't know. Maybe some of them are still alive, in homes that love them, unaware of where they came from. Maybe some were sold and resold so many times that the trail went cold. And maybe some are gone. That's the part I try not to think about. Trevor, the teenager who'd bought 8 dogs from Dex, cooperated fully with the investigation. He testified in court, provided all his records, and helped identify other buyers. Because of his cooperation, and because he was a minor who'd been manipulated, Trevor wasn't charged criminally. Instead, he was sentenced to 200 hours of community service at animal shelters, not Second Chance, but others in the area, and mandatory education on animal welfare laws. His mother was horrified when she found out what he'd been doing. He made him write apology letters to every organization involved and personally delivered donations to Second Chance. The last I heard, Trevor was working part-time at a vet clinic, learning about proper animal care. He told Kimiko he wanted to make it right. The other teenage buyers received similar sentences: community service, education, probation. The 2 adult buyers connected to puppy mills were charged with animal cruelty and operating unlicensed breeding facilities. Both pleaded guilty and received prison sentences, 18 months and 2 years respectively, plus hefty fines and lifetime bans from owning animals. The buyers connected to dogfighting. We never identified them. Dex refused to give up their names, even as part of his plea deal. The prosecutors speculated he was scared of retaliation. Those 3 dogs, sold as bait, are among the 45 we never found. Murphy, the beagle who started it all, stayed with me. Technically, he was supposed to go back into the adoption pool after Trevor surrendered him, but I'd already fostered him once. I'd already fallen in love with him. And after everything he'd been through, stolen, sold, nearly sold again, he deserved stability. So I adopted him. Officially, permanently. Murphy lived with me for 3 more years. He passed away peacefully in his sleep in December 2027, at the age of 13, curled up in his favorite spot on my couch. I buried him in my backyard, under the oak tree, with a marker that read, "Murphy, the goodest boy, you saved us all," because he did. If I hadn't seen that Craigslist ad, if I hadn't called that number, if Trevor hadn't talked, Dex might still be out there, selling dogs, hurting animals. Murphy saved 19 dogs, maybe more, in ways we'll never fully know. Bailey, the golden retriever we'd used as bait in the undercover operation, was adopted by Kimiko. He'd fallen in love with him during the investigation and couldn't bear to let him go. He became a therapy dog. Kimiko trained him and brought him to schools, hospitals, and community events. Bailey brought joy to thousands of people over the years. He's still alive, happy and healthy, living his best life. Sometimes Kimiko sends me photos. Bailey at the park, Bailey with kids, Bailey sleeping in a sunbeam. Every time, I smile. After the scandal, Second Chance Animal Rescue implemented sweeping changes. First, we restructured our adoption process. Now, every adoption requires approval from 2 staff members, not just 1. All paperwork is digitized and backed up to a cloud server in real time. Adopters receive follow-up calls at 1 week, 1 month, and 3 months post-adoption. Second, we installed additional security cameras and upgraded our record-keeping software. Every animal that enters the shelter is microchipped immediately, and the chip information is entered into a national database that we monitor continuously. Third, we created a volunteer oversight committee. A group of longtime volunteers, myself included, now has access to all operational records and conducts monthly audits to ensure transparency. Fourth, we partnered with the Austin Police Department to provide annual training for our staff and volunteers on recognizing and reporting animal abuse and fraud. The changes worked. Within a year, our adoption numbers were back up. Donations increased. The community trusted us again. In 2025, Second Chance received a $120,000 grant from a national animal welfare organization, recognizing our efforts to reform and rebuild. We used the money to expand our facilities, hire additional staff, and launch an education program for schools about responsible pet ownership. I'm still there, every weekend, every holiday. 24 years now, and counting. I'm not the same person I was before Dex. I'm warier, more skeptical. I check records obsessively. I question things I used to take for granted. But I'm also more determined, more committed. Because for every Dex Morales, there are 100 people like me. People who care, people who fight, people who refuse to let the bad guys win. And that's what keeps me going. It's been over a year since Dex was sentenced. Life has settled into a new normal. I still foster animals. Currently, I have a 3-legged cat named Rosie and a senior pit bull named Tank. Both of them will probably end up permanent residents, and I'm okay with that. Kimiko and I are still friends. We meet for coffee once a month, talk about work, life, dogs. He's been promoted to detective now, specializing in animal cruelty cases. He says the Dex investigation changed his career trajectory, made us realize how much she cared about this work. Trevor, the teenager, graduated high school and got accepted to Texas A&M to study veterinary science. His mom sent me a photo of him in his cap and gown. I put it on my fridge. The 19 dogs we recovered are all thriving in their new homes. I keep in touch with some of the adopters. They send me updates, photos, videos. It helps. The 45 dogs we couldn't find, I think about them often. I hope some of them are safe. I hope some of them found love, despite everything. I try not to imagine the worst. As for Dex, he's serving his sentence at a state prison in Huntsville. He'll be eligible for parole in 2028. When that time comes, I'll be at the hearing, along with Kimiko and representatives from multiple animal welfare organizations. We'll make sure the parole board knows exactly what he did. He won't get out easily. People sometimes ask me if I regret volunteering at Second Chance, given what happened. The answer is no, not for a second. Yes, Dex betrayed us. Yes, he hurt animals under our care. Yes, the scandal was devastating. But we caught him. We stopped him. We saved 19 dogs. And we made sure it could never happen again. That matters. A few weeks ago, I was at the shelter when a family came in to adopt a puppy. The mom was nervous, asking a million questions about our processes, our safeguards, our follow-up procedures. I answered every question patiently, showed his our new systems, explained the reforms we'd implemented. At the end, she smiled. Thank you. I'd heard about what happened here, and I was scared to adopt. But after hearing all this, I feel good about it. You really care. We do, I said. More than anything. They adopted a lab mix named Peanut. 6 months later, they sent me a photo. Peanut curled up on a couch with their 2 kids, all of them grinning. That's why I'm still here. Not because the work is easy, or because people are always trustworthy, or because every story has a happy ending, but because sometimes, despite everything, we get it right. We save a life. We give an animal a chance. We make a family whole. And that's worth fighting for. 22 years ago, I walked into Second Chance Animal Rescue looking for something that mattered. I found it, and I'm not letting go. My name is Parker Thornton. I'm 48 years old. I've been a volunteer at the same animal shelter for 22 years. And this is the story of how 64 rescue dogs were stolen, how one teenager's confession exposed everything, and how we fought back, not with violence or revenge, but with patience, persistence, and love. Because that's what rescue is. That's what it's always been. And that's what it always will be.